Hey everybody, welcome back to another Scratch tutorial. We're continuing on with our Space Invader game, and we're going to be taking a look at uh, not adding sounds yet or anything, but rather setting up your game so it's somewhat challenging and has a direction for it. So I'm going to show you a preview of the game so far. What I've done is I've set my player's HP to 100, and if I'm hit by an enemy, I lose HP from the blue enemies. And when my value or my score goes to 3, the boss appears. Now it's an arbitrary value. I initially set it at 10, but for the purpose of this demonstration, when I get to a score of 3, the boss appears. The boss has a score up here on the right hand side, and when I fire at it, more than 1 HP is taken because of how much the beam is actually touching the opponent. So maybe another hit or so it should be dead, but I mean I can lose as well. So let's try it again. Hit the respawn button twice. Come on. Alright. Finding the enemy boss. Attack. Attack. It's draining my HP. Think I'm gonna lose again. Oh crap. Alright, boom. Actually, we both died, but I got to my congratulations, you have one screen, but at the same time I actually was destroyed as well, as you can see in the animation. So that is the actual game. I know it doesn't seem all great because there's no music in it, but we don't want to do that yet until we actually finish what we're doing. So to get started, what I'm going to go over right now is actually setting up the boss. And we didn't do that in the previous tutorial, but you should kind of know already what you want to do with the actual boss. First things first, what I did was I created a new data point and I made a new variable and I called it boss. This is the HP of the boss. I'm just going to leave it alone as that, but that's the boss's HP, which is 25. I can change it to 100 or 50. It just depends on how difficult you want the game to be. Now, with the code, I hide the boss. I do not want the boss to appear in the beginning of the game. The boss must appear with the first costume, which is costume boss 1. In addition to that, I want him to appear. He's actually moving in random places when the game starts, but nobody knows because you can't see him. So I chose a random value. Again, go to X of this random location and Y of this random location like we've done with the other enemies. It's nothing different. The only thing that's different is I created a forever loop with an if statement. If the score equals 3, which is my score here, the boss will show itself. Now I can change that value to 10 to 20, and I initially had it at 10, but the game I just wanted to get through the demo real quickly. But I would set it at 10 to make it challenging for the player. Next step is the movement of the boss. I set a forever loop with a green flag to glide to these random locations. And we've done this with the enemy, for example, right here. Nothing new. Afterwards, I needed to set up a sensing action where when it gets hit, its HP goes down. So when I start the green flag, if the boss gets hit by the beam or touches the beam, the boss's HP goes down by -1. Theoretically, it goes down by more because when the beam is going through the boss, it's touching the actual opponent more than 1. So it's actually losing more health than that. But make sure to have the forever loop. The next step is when I click, so I have my initiation there, there's a forever loop that runs. When the boss's HP, or if its HP goes to 0, then I wanted to switch to costume boss 2, which is the explosion. Wait 0.2 seconds, a fraction of a second. Then switch to the next animation, which is boss 3. Wait for another 0.2 seconds, hide, and then broadcast the message. Okay, so that broadcast is actually attached to our stage. Now, a couple of things that I want you to do is we have three stages. We have a congratulations, you have won, a game over screen, and our initial screen. A couple of things is to get this set up properly. make sure you have these scripts in your backdrop section. When you start the game, the backdrop to switch to space. When you receive the message the player is dead, remember when you lose all your HP, you need to switch to backdrop game over and put the control option stop all. When you receive the message boss is dead when you defeat the boss, switch to backdrop to win and then go to stop all. That will stop the entire game. So make sure all those options are set up. Other things to do for the enemy is you have to have the enemies disappear when the boss appears. You don't have to, but it's an option. So to do that, if you click on enemy 1, I've added a code here, and I'll redo it again. When clicked, right, I'm going to get my if statement, if, and an operator here, and is equal to this. If the score that you've earned, is equal to a value of 3, then I want to hide the enemy. Right, that's the same code that I've applied here, but I'm missing a forever loop to ensure that this is active. Okay. You don't have to have that. You can change the score to, you don't have to hide them, but it's good to hide them because you're illustrating there's a boss battle going on, but you can change it and manipulate it however you want. So I have this same code in each one of the enemies there. Okay? And one last thing is, you're going to need to revisit the rocket ship and actually add another operator here, an OR operator, because you have to include the boss. When the boss is touching the rocket ship, you are actually losing HP as well. So make sure you include the boss there in addition to that. You can even create a new loop and make the boss a separate one to make you lose more HP, but it's totally up to you. So that's it with the code. That's all I'm going to cover in this particular video. So at this stage, you've made one level. You have multiple enemies. You have an endpoint, which is game over. If you want, you can create multiple levels and more monsters to go throughout your game. So what we covered today was setting up your boss and making sure you get to the end game, which is the congratulations screen, and making sure your enemy's codes and your boss's codes are all working correctly.